What?
On your knees. Oh. The inversion is going to be important in this position, and this is going to be an inverted triangle from Lasso guard. I've already mentioned previously on Tuesday about the no-gi versions of this, where I want my forearms on my thighs, putting pressure on his hips, and I want to be pulling his triceps to me. One thing that I forgot to mention is gripping and torquing. So I move his shoulders as I've got him gripped. I have him this way. What this there's an anatomical reason here. I'm not gonna get autistic about it. So I'm pushing into the elbow ditches. I'm keeping this area tight, and I'm heading here. I'm choosing a direction. I favor this direction, so I kick forward and I take the arm. I go to lasso guard, get my hoagie grip. I push off of this hip here, and I have my lasso, and my no-gi version of lasso. And remember that I'm pushing inwards and tightening down. I'm not pulling upwards, because naturally he's gonna wanna pull backwards. And we're slick, and it's gonna be a battle for me to attempt to get him. So I'm pushing inwards. Now, just like the red belt sweep, I can come over here, push over, and I can continue to do the same technique. So the red belt sweep works in this position as well. A no-gi. So I have the lasso as I'm going for this. I'm gonna put this foot over here on the hip, and I'm gonna bring myself inwards, keeping all this tight. Now as I move inwards, I'm inverting, and here this big whip is going to whip around. What are you going for?
I don't know.
It's going to whip around.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And take my leg lands here on the hip, so I can push over. I want to put an angle in my triangle or angle in my strangle, in this direction. And then I'm chopping down at the neck and the head, not the back. This will keep him from posturing up because I have more surface area on his shoulders, on his spine, as I contort my hip. Okay, now go. But if I chop at the head, he makes the choke tighter. And then I want to cover his ear. I tell the little ones, like, his coach is going to be telling him how to get out of here. So I don't want him to hear his coach. I want him to listen to me tell him that I'm going to kill him. Traditional spider, or excuse me, traditional triangle is that you just lock it in, and it's much easier. Or you reach under for the angle and you go here. So professor taught me, or taught us, to cover the ear, and it works. Not all the time can I get, like if I'm going against somebody with corpse grinder sized neck, I'm not going to be able to lock this in. But I found that if I just cover the ear, it pushes this over. And it's easier for me to push this way than it is to bring down over all this mass. So if you're going with someone who's larger than you, consider bringing your ankle down and pushing over and then covering the ear, because you're still tightening the triangle that he's in. Pushing over, getting the triangle. There's many ways to tighten the triangle. Sorry about the phone, thanks. There's many ways to tighten the triangle. What I can do is I can turn my legs that way. The other thing I can do also is flex my foot. Once I flex my foot, you'll notice that this plane moves inwards. That's where their neck and their arm is. So I push my heel that way, not really necessarily pushing myself over. I'm trying not to have a lazy foot. And then pointing my knees in the opposite direction. So you can start a knee pin if you want to, or you can just go straight to no-gi lasso. And here we are. The free foot will move over, and then I will pull in, and I will contort and invert. If you can land on the hip, obviously land on the hip, because this is what's going to give you your angle, but I already had my angle, so I come in, pushing my heel that way because I have a larger specimen, and covering the ear. If I can get the lock in, I get the lock, and now I'll tighten it by flexing my heel. And then obviously there's an arm bar there. Any questions? Yes?
The first time you did it, you put the top of your foot in his hip socket, and then the second time you did it, you put your foot on the mat. Does it matter?
It's your choice. Like, that's an option. Thank you for pointing that out. I like to do the hip here because then I can push off of him and it gives Kazushi. Because if I'm pushing them, they're more likely going to push back over. You can put the foot on the floor. I would recommend if you're in gi, putting the foot on the floor because you'll have grips with both hands.
Right.
In gi, it's imperative that you keep this hand tight, but you must switch and cross over. So whichever hand you have in lasso, I know we're not in gi now, but whichever hand you have in lasso with gi, let's say he does have gi, I need to make sure that the top hand, this one over here, the free hand, is on top. Elsewise, I block myself from inverting. We can go over that on tomorrow, or we can put gi tops on later. So I'll show it once more. I'm gonna start off in lasso. Here I am. I'm keeping this tight. I'm just gonna loosen it so that he doesn't roll with me. And then I'm here, and this helps me pull myself closer in so that I can whip, and I'm keeping this tight. And then as I invert, this leg, this momentum, is coming all the way over the top. And then we talked about the arm bar here as well.